If you're here looking for a video on something that'll expand your mind and give you some revelation on the world and informative information, well, you're in the wrong place. But if you're looking to listen to some idiot talk to you and ramble on about his musings, then keep watching. All right, so let's look at this thing. Yeah, pretty, huh? There it is. And this is my newest assembly. It was started with a St. Croix tactical frame, which takes Glock Gen 3 lower parts, Strike Industries slide, Strike Industries iron sights, which co-witness with the Vortex Venom optic on the top, as well as Strike Industries compensator, Strike Industries mag release, Strike Industries pins, which you can tell from the red trigger housing pin on the back, Strike Industries SADC magwell, and Strike Industries mag plate for the bottom. Built this mostly to be a Gucci Glock, which is what I think it is, and it has grown on me, and I think it's pretty. But if you don't, well, you don't, and I don't really care. But that's it right there, and we'll look it over. I'm gonna take it apart for, oh, and I forgot, Strike Industries backplate. So I'm gonna go over a bunch of these parts so you can see the philosophy of use that I have on each of them. So let's go ahead and dive into it. All right, so let's look at this SCT 19 frame that was made by St. Croix Tactical. All right, there it is. You can see all the cool stuff that's on there. And I chose this frame because it was made by St. Croix Tactical, and I wanted to make sure that the stuff that I own is made by someone that knows what they're doing. And I think a Saint would probably know exactly what they're doing, especially a Saint that does tactical stuff. So I'll trust St. Croix on that. And thank you, St. Croix, for creating this wonderful frame. And this is a polymer frame made from advanced polymers because it's not metal. So let's look at the magwell here. This magwell is made by Strike Industries, and you can see, you know, it's flared out right there. You can see all the little angles, and it fits pretty good onto this frame. Strike Industries made a frame before called the Strike 80 that is no longer being produced, and this frame that St. Croix made is actually very close to what that original frame was. So that's why I'm using this, and it fits on there. And the purpose of this is that when you put your magazine in, all right, look at that right there. See that? See that? Okay. When you put the magazine in, okay, it looks so much better than if that wasn't there. So that's important. You got to make sure that whatever you're putting your magazine into looks good. Because if it doesn't, you know, why bother? But there it is, and you've got this nice texture on here that they put on there. See that? Can you hear that? There it is. All right. And that's so that you could hear your nail going across, because if that's not there, you're not going to hear anything. And how will you know it's there if you don't, if that texture wasn't there? You can see there's texturing here and texturing here. And this is important right here, texture over here, so that it's not flat. You can see it adds to the aesthetics of the whole receiver frame. See that? And I'm using a polymer magazine release, okay, to release my magazine. And this is made from polymer, so that's another space age material. And the reason for the polymer is so that they can put that cool logo on there, and it won't cost them too much to do that. So now you don't have to engrave it or do anything else. And the other thing that I found, the benefit of that is that it doesn't mar up the magazine as much by using polymer. And so I'm not sure if that's the original intended use, but that's just something that I found. The insides on here, see, it has nice metal rails on there. Locking block. The locking block itself comes with the frame. Alright. And it came with the frame because I guess they were trying to get rid of them, and they decided, well, if they included it with the frame, people would probably buy it. It's kind of like a buy this and get this for free type of deal. Right here, all these are Gen 3, Glock Gen 3 parts. Okay, because this frame will only accept Glock Gen 3 parts or compatible parts. If you try to put any other parts in there, like carburetors or lug nuts, it's not going to accept them, and so you might be faced with some issues from those parts arising from that. So only use Glock Gen 3 parts, lower parts in here, and you'll notice that a lot of the parts that I have on here are polished. See that? And the reason for that polishing is so that it's shiny. See that there? Okay. And there's another reason that people have told me. They said that if you polish the parts, it'll actually smoothen up your trigger pull and all that, but I don't know about that. I think that's just hearsay. This is a Glock Gen 4 ejector. Alright. And it's different from the Gen 3 ejector because it's a Gen 4. But it is in a Glock Gen 3 trigger housing. So yeah, I guess the frame made an exception with that Gen 4 part right there. For frame to be used. The pins in here are Strike Industries pins. Okay. And because it's Strike Industries, the trigger housing pin itself is going to be red. Oh, and also this is red right here. The mag release button. And it's red because they anodized it that color. So there's that, and that is the receiver frame. All right, so let's look at the slide. Slide itself is a Strike Industries slide. Okay. And you'll notice some things on it. It's got these lines on here. See that? Right there. And so you'll notice that it goes, the angle goes from the bottom to the top. And the reason for that is that it shows which direction the bullet is going to go. See that? Bullet's going to go this way. So it's got to go like this. Right there. But I've noticed when using this thing is that when I pull back, it makes my finger grip it more. So I think that's a side effect of the way they put these cuts on there. Another important thing to note is this, the number 19. All right, so, and I think that's to denote that this is number 19. And you'll see here also on the barrel, this is a Palmetto State Armory barrel with threads on it. It says 9x19. So that 9x19 right there is engraved on there. Okay. Just to show you that this barrel is a 9x19 barrel. Got a Vortex red dot on here, right, which uses what's called a doctor cut on the slide. So it uses that doctor cut, so just in case you get cut, there it's cut by a doctor, so it should be sterile. And these are Strike Industries iron sights, which they say co-witness with the red dot. All right, these are co-witness sights because it needs to witness things with more than one thing, I guess, because if you have one witness, it's not as credible as two witnesses. So right here up front, you've got the Strike Industries mass driver compensator, which includes the guide rod spring and guide rod in the assembly. All right, and it has some important words here and some words over here, and that's so that they're right there so that they contrast on the background of the compensator itself. And then you've got the 3 dots here and the 3 dots here, right, to show that this connects together with the slide. So the reason why I'm using a compensator on this slide is because the slide is shorter and I wanted to compensate for the shortness of the slide. Here's the again, I want to show you the threads on there. Okay, and a threaded barrel. Those threads on there, so that when you look at the inside, you've got something to look at instead of a blank space right there. Okay. Right, and when you assemble this thing, the compensator onto the slide, you want to put some Loctite on this piece right here. All right, because if you don't use Loctite on there, then the companies that make Loctite won't be able to sell you Loctite. So that's important. All right, the insides of this, I'm using a Glock factory safety plunger and a Glock factory striker. All right, there's a safety plunger on there for safety when you're plunging into things, and a Glock factory striker piece right there. Here on the back is a Strike Industries back plate with these buttons on here, and the buttons are on there so that, you know, it sticks out a little bit on the back right there. And so these things that stick out are there so that if you look at the back, it gives you something else to look at, right? They were telling me that if you push down on this, you don't need a tool to remove the insides, but I think that was just a side effect. You know, I'm not sure if that was its original intended purpose. You know, just like the red dot that I'm using on here, and that's so that you have a nice red dot to look at, you know, when you're cleaning your gun. So that's the slide, right? Strike Industries light slide, along with a Strike Industries compensator, which I think compensates the length of the slide very well, because the slide is short, and sometimes with short things you need to compensate them. So here's the magazine. Okay, this is a 15 round Glock 19 magazine, and the reason why I'm using the 15 round magazine is because it holds more than 14 rounds. This is the Strike Industries magazine plate. All right. And you want to use a Strike Industries red magazine plate on this, and it's metal because it's red. And if you don't have this red on here, it's not gonna match up with the red on your receiver if you're using the Strike Industries pins. See that? It's red. So there it is.